Welcome, seekers of the unknown, as we pull back the veil between the living and beyond. Unraveling questions that plague our minds, and oftentimes presenting the evidence that may prove them true. Let us take you on a journey where paranormal becomes normal, and where what is right behind you just might be echoes of the afterlife or something more. But fair warning, once you step into the supernatural with us, you might just stay haunted.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another night of Stay Haunted. Happy New Year. Chris and Audra, unfortunately.
Not unfortunately,
they're not able to be here with us tonight.
They're stuck in Cancun. They're stuck
in 80-degree weather, warm,
they
sunny.
Couldn't get back to us in time.
So they're away on a work trip. So they're not, unfortunately, able to be here this evening. But so you have us, Dos Cocos, again, flying solo tonight. So we have a great show tonight. Before we get to our amazing, phenomenal guest, do you want to Happy New Year to everybody in chat? Hope everybody had a great Happy New Year, happy 2026. Wishing everybody a happy and healthy 2026. Anything you want to add?
I'm trying not to be the Terminator. See?
So, FYI, there are two versions again this week. One is the vertical view and one is the regular view. So if you go to the Stay Haunted channel, you will see next to Stay Haunted, there's a little vertical icon. Don't click on that one. If you want to see it regular view, you can click. There should be one right below it on the view the channel. If you go to the YouTube page and view the channel, you'll see right at and go to lives, you'll see the two show link icons. You can click on the one that it doesn't have the little phone looking rectangle icon next to it. So that's that. So hello to everybody in chat. Hello to Ronald from ERT Radio. Thanks for saying that, Ronald. Who else is here? Hello to Mary Beth. Happy New Year. Who else? I'm doing double duty. Usually, Chris, I'm scrolling through, posting comments.
That's Everett.
Everett. Happy New Year, Mr. Everett. Very nice. So, anywho, so how was our weekend? How was our New Year's?
New Year's was fun.
Good. We had a little family get together. We had a party. We had a party with family and friends on New Year's Eve, celebrating a couple of birthdays. And then we ended up, we kicked off 2026 investigations already.
We had two.
What did we do Friday?
We did Way Hill with my family, which is it good or bad? I mean, they don't know how to investigate. So people were jumping out of closets, people were screaming, everybody was running. It was more just for fun. But we did get a couple little EVPs along the way. We did. Once everybody kind of cleared out, we went down into for those of you, if you've ever been to White Hill Mansion in Fieldsboro, it's a great location. We ended the night in the speakeasy, and we got our son, our 21-year-old son, TJ, was with us. And we did an EVP, and there's a little car on the back wall of Lightning McQueen. His question during the EVP was, what color is the car? The toy car. What color is the toy car? And we got a little boy's voice that said, it's red. So that was a pretty cool experience for him. Kind of got him all excited about kind of doing investigation. So maybe that'll entice him to come out with us on a few more adventures. We didn't have many takers for another one. Yeah, in 2026. Which is too cold. Yeah. They were freezing. It was chilly. And then Saturday night we did we were at the Ritz. We were at the Ritz Theater in Haddon Township with the Parasite Project. it was crazy.
Back to the source, a little bit of no tech to start, and then towards the end we added the
All the tech.
The tech. And let me tell you, it was, if you've never been to the Ritz, it's an awesome location. It's in Haddon Township. It's a working theater. Listen, the EVPs that they got in the Blue Room, EVPs, just audio captures on the video camera. I put a couple on our TikTok page, 222 PIR, and Stay Haunted. Listen, we got some awesome EVPs, and we got a bunch more footage that we're going to be going through. So that was our weekend.
That was our weekend.
So.
And hold on, I have to get a tissue. Otherwise, I'll keep wiping.
We're still just apologize our voices if we have the occasional cough. We're just getting over. Hopefully nobody else had it. We were dealing with the head cold for the past 2.5 weeks, going on 3 weeks. So I'm just about over the hurdle. Carmelo's a little bit behind me. So, so enough about us. Let's get to our phenomenal guest. So everybody
excited about him.
We are very excited. We met him
through Ron and Lourdes.
Through Ron and Lourdes. They were doing an event, their yearly event at the Liberty Science Center. And he was co-speaking with them. They were kind of working in collaboration with everybody that knows Ron and Lourdes, their analytic idealism philosophy on universal consciousness. And, it was our first time meeting our guest for tonight, Mr. Chris DeCesare. I'm going to read his bio and then I'll bring him on. Chris DeCesare, the Ghost Boy of Eerie Hall, is a social studies and special education teacher, author, and public speaker. His experience as a college student in 1985 has been in the award-winning independent docu-thriller Please Talk With Me, the Syfy Network's School Spirits series Coast to Coast AM with George Noory, the Travel Channel's My Horror Story, the most notably the Netflix documentary miniseries, which we just rewatched last night, Chris. We wanted to refresh everything. On Netflix, it's called the miniseries called True Haunting Eerie Hall, produced by James Wan on Netflix. The C2D1 Haunting ranks among the most documented paranormal events in U.S. history, defined by full-bodied apparitions, disembodied voices, moving objects, physical attacks, a priest blessing, photographs, and real-time audio tapes, and one that found a teenage DeCesare at its epicenter, and to whom urban legend ascribed the nicknames the Ghost Boy of Geneseo and the Ghost Boy of Eerie Hall. DeCesare is currently embarked on a book tour promoting his latest release, The Ghost Boy of Eerie Hall, which provides an unprecedented look inside the events of this world-famous haunting. We welcome 2026 and this phenomenal episode with a phenomenal guest. Everybody, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Chris DeCesare.
Where's our yay?
Where's our
thing?
We got little claps and media things. I got to find it real fast, Chris, because you definitely. Here's the applause. Here we go.
Here we go.
Please be seated. So, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. We know you're busy and you have a busy schedule, and we're just really appreciative of getting to spend a little time with you and have you on the show and talk about the Netflix series and just your experiences and stuff. So
my pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Now, we watched it again last night, and I just keep thinking to myself, I just would have ran. I don't think I would have stayed. I just would have been like, nope, I'm done.
Well, if you notice, Paul did go, right? Paul did leave. My roommate did. He had that option. His parents lived about 40 minutes away, and lucky for him, and I'm proud of him for making that choice. I didn't have quite that same choice to make. My grandfather fought in World War II, and he got malaria. He was shelled by the Japanese. That he was dead a couple times. He came back and survived. My uncle Gary was in the war in Vietnam, got shot twice, came back. I just couldn't go home, and my parents say, "I'm hearing voices." I wanted to leave. I wanted to honor my family's name, my relative service to the country. I wanted to see it through. My dad raised me to be a problem solver and a marathon runner. And a marathon can go left anytime, and so you have your splits on your arm marked with your marker. You plan, you train, you carbo load all these things. So I wanted to see it through, but it wouldn't have been possible without my friends who were there at the time.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So I know when I go on investigations, things like that, he's my partner in crime, but he falls asleep immediately. So 9 times out of 10, I'm not sleeping because I see and hear and everything's happening. So I just, like, I could leave, I guess, but I just sit there and listen to him snore.
Yeah, that's the one thing. When I take a nap and I go out, we are actually, when we first got involved with investigating formally, one of our first locations was was Gettysburg, and we were the only ones in the hotel. I was sleeping like a baby. We were at the Gettysburg at the Union Hotel. Finally, 3 a.m. She's like elbows me and woke me up, and then she's like, "Listen, I'm here.
I can't do this anymore."
So we can relate. So
yes.
All right.
I don't run. I want to, but I don't.
So we have some questions for you, and I kind of laid it out as kind of, I don't want to get right to the Netflix. I kind of want to build it up to kind of how it all came to fruition and stuff like that. So before we kind of get to the Netflix miniseries, my first question that I want to ask you is, for those of us that are maybe just meeting you that don't know your story,
Sure.
Who were you before Eerie Hall?
I was a happy kid. I was just so happy. And hello, everybody out there. Hi, Mary Beth. Uncle Bob, to check your email. And hello, April. Good to see you. Hello, 305 out there. Yes, I was a runner. That's what I did. My dad raised me since 11 years old to compete competitively. I was age 14, my first marathon in Montreal, 26.2 miles. I did that and just was hungry afterwards, and I just had this knack, this ability to run, and I did, and I loved it, and when you do something good for your school, in high school and college, people appreciate that. You become popular. People want to reward you to make them look good too. So it was a nice dynamic relationship. I was healthy. I was happy. The world was my oyster. I always say this with the truth. The MTV was just out, and just the videos were amazing to dance to, and the Olympics were held. It was a great time to be alive. And I was a very happy kid. I wasn't a loud person. I was kind of a quiet person, but I was always a person to try to make people around me happy. I was the person that made people laugh or have a good time. Ever since I was a little kid, that's what I did. So I was the guy that'd be always shrieking. That was just me, and just living life. And I wasn't that person they always portray in the movies where they're depressed and angry in the basement.
Right.
They're shooting up something. They're doing tarot cards and Ouija boards and summoning demons. And, I was just a happy kid with no inkling anything like that, an extreme haunting could occur. In fact, if I can share this real quick, this is the reason I chose the book cover, which is here. That's me at the toga party. About a half an hour before I saw the ghost for the first time. This is the last time in my life I was me. I could just be me who I was beforehand. That's why I put that on the cover. That's the beginning, and this is the end. So I tried to make it.
Wow. That is, and like you didn't know what was going to happen, what was going to, nobody would think that, expect that to happen. That type of experience or event in your, in somebody's life.
I first had to figure out was it really happening. It could have been a practical joke. It could have been drugs in my food. It could have been a gas leak in the room. It could be hypnosis. It could have been mass hysteria. It could have been SAD. It could have been so many things. And again, I problem solved in my marathon. So I began to analyze and create a checklist of what it may or may not be. But very quickly, to my displeasure, all the common answers I would accept were not applicable. What was left was a thing called the paranormal, and I was very uncomfortable with that. Luckily, my friend who lived next door, John Jeff Unger, was there, and he loved watching things like In Search Of, and that's incredible. And he had a working understanding, reading Colin Wilson, of some of these things. So he was the most amazing resource, the most amazing, person that would guide me through these happenings.
Awesome. So a couple quick little things before we move on to the next question. You mentioned MTV. I just saw it. I think MTV, it shut down, right? It shut down.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah. 305. That's our good friends from 305. That's Jenny and Mondo from 305 Paranormal, good friends of ours down in Miami, Florida. And I just saw a notification that it shut down. I think on December 31st. I think New Year's Eve or something like that. So a lot of good memories. We're in the same age bracket, so we're we relate. We grew up watching it too. A lot of good memories with
First Ponderosa, now this, brother.
So, so I asked a question about who you were.
Yes.
Now, just when you hear Eerie Hall, what does that kind of do for you? Or what, when people say Eerie Hall, what's the first emotion that comes to your thought?
It's gonna sound strange at me. It's the place where I was basically created. It's a place where this new version of me that would dominate the next 40 years of my life was born. It's my first home was where I grew up with my parents in the Orange County, New York, by West Point, and I was there till I was 18 or so, and then I went to college just expecting to get qualifications for a job or maybe make the Olympic team, something like that. No clues to what it would mean to be beyond just mechanical thing, like just help me out, get me through this, and go on my way. I had no idea that it would form who I would be. I learned about what life could be. I learned challenges that were beyond my initial comprehension. I forged amazing friendships that to this day last and are strong. And it created for me a legacy that I didn't want, but a legacy that will live far beyond me. With the show now, 9 million people have seen it around the globe. Right. So nothing I'll ever do.
Up a little bit, though, too. It kind of made you grow up a little too, quick.
I had no choice.
Right, that's what I mean. Like it,
yeah. It's just, I wish it never happened, but things happen to people. I mentioned this when I spoke at Liberty Science Center. People get cancer, people get divorced, people have bankruptcy, have addictions, bad things happen, and in those terrible moments, in that cauldron, that forge, that's where you become, for better or worse, who you're going to be.
Helps mold you.
Right. That when the moments you can't control are what shape you.
Right.
And I'm very thankful to be talking with both of you right now in this capacity where we're celebrating good things and not looking back and saying what a shame that was.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could have went that way to say that it was negative. It made you negative. But thankfully, you didn't. You went the positive route.
Right.
I didn't think I would live. I thought for sure I was dead in that place.
Right.
I thought for sure I'm going to die and that's it. And when if folks with an epic show, there's the shower attack scene.
I couldn't watch that scene again.
Yeah.
That came on. I'm like, nope, I'm hiding.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one to go through. So
imagine how I feel. It's for me, it's like PTSD. It's where it'll happen. But I remember the first thing I did when I fell to the ground was thought, my poor mother. Right. My mom gave up college to have a family and to have me. All her dreams to get up to have me. And there I was as a teenager dying. I thought, my poor mom gave up everything to bury me.
Right.
Before I'm even like an adult, basically. So I made my face calm and serene so that when they found me and put me in the casket, I'd look peaceful for her sake and not be angry. Right. That's the first thing I thought, because I didn't think I'd make it through. I wanted to live. I wanted to survive. I didn't know how.
Right. But you did it, and thank God your friend.
Yes.
Thank God that he was there. He was a huge part of it. Yeah. Thank you had somebody to rely on.
And that documentary, actually kind of leads me into you talking about your friends, and it's mentioned in the documentary. And they're all kind of interviewed in the series. So that kind of like when you first got there to Geneseo College, when you moved in, what was it like? Did you? I know it's portrayed in pretty accurately in the film as far as the friendship that was created and bonded and stuff like that, and how kind of led to everybody being there, for you to during this experience that you were having.
Yeah, well, it was really fun to be. I loved home. I had a great upbringing, but it was fun just to be someplace else and see how people lived and what they thought and what was out there beyond my own upbringing. It's kind of compelling to see what else was there. Right. And, there were extremes I hadn't ever seen before. Extremes in behavior, in terms of language, in terms of.
Right. Yeah. Now
what are they doing there on the floor? What are you talking? What is that? Is that what happened? Or what did you drink? That doesn't look good, And so it was compelling. And, sometimes things just happen by chance, and just by chance, Paul and I, a roommate, ended up in the same suite as a group of people who'd been there a year prior, and Jeff had been there, and Craig had been there, and Ed, and everyone. And And just by chance, Jeff and I began to communicate and share some times and have dinner together and talk a little bit. And so meeting him was transformative. He was the first person since my parents who really helped to create my worldview. He was amazing in terms of he knew about painting, pointillism, impressionists, all those. He learned about the composers, Beethoven and Brahms and Chopin. He knew about writing, all the famous authors, everything from going way back in the day, to contemporary like Jack Kerouac and whatnot. He was just such a font of information. And the coolest thing about him, music, he introduced me to Peter Gabriel, people like that, Echo and the Bunnymen and SSQ, just great 80s, Euro punk bands.
Yeah. I'm a Peter Gabriel. I like Peter Gabriel. We both like Peter Gabriel, more so. And then Phil Collins and stuff. So
he plays for me. I Go Swimming. Dun, 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 dun. Love me. Salisbury Hill. I mean, just open my horizon. So it's a great person to know. And unlike me, who was raised, and there's no fault in how you're raised and what your viewpoint is, it would be different. I was about competing. I wanted to hone my skills. I wanted to win. I wanted to accomplish things. I wanted to get a prestige. He was able to, I'd never seen this before in a young person, admire and find happiness and peace in someone else's accomplishment. Amazing. It wasn't a competition. Well, you did this. I did. That's fast. How did you do that? That's fast. It was amazing to be around someone whom I could trust. I didn't have to compete with or challenge, just like family. So it was a nice friendship we built. The Haunting really put us into a much tighter bond because we became like a team, in trying to explore yin and yang of how this would work in our what became an investigation, although I was just trying to survive it. So very lucky. Roommate Paul was a great guy. He loved that band called Rush, like that. His father brought a loft. It was like indoor treehouse. When we got there, they're starting to build it. What's that? It's authorized. It's like they see this Netflix show, and it's great. And we had an upstairs and a downstairs, which is a really thing.
You always plead innocent after dumb. What how they say that? Like you plead guilty or whatever after or dumb or whatever after the fact. Oh, we didn't know we couldn't do this.
I still don't know, but I was worried about that.
There you go. I still don't know. I didn't. Oh, you mean we can't build into the drill into the walls and do this and that?
But it worked, and it became iconic from the photographs and the images and the events that would happen there. So, and again, we had no idea that this experience would be shared decades later with millions of people. We didn't want to talk about it for the longest time.
Right.
So nobody had an experience before you, right?
Well, I wouldn't know that. I don't know because I was new to the area. No one said they had any experience. I it's kind of an ignorant thing for me, but I don't know anything. I didn't know beforehand what happened.
There's no reason for you to know.
I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have what you both have, which is the working knowledge of some of these things and experience. I was literally a kid. And so it put me at a disadvantage in that I didn't have a set way of dealing with it. But the good part was I never had that way of dealing with it. I could find my way through without having to rely on people saying you're supposed to do. And that was kind of interesting, the approaches that we took over time, myself, Jeff, Beth, Linda, Judy, Craig, Ed. There are a whole bunch of us, more than you see in the Netflix show. My dad, Father Charlie, Dr. Lawrence Kepler, the psychologist. So a lot of people were involved, and it really became, looking back, an epic time period, but I just wish it never happened.
Right.
But no one, even now, no one ever came back and said, oh, the year before you were there, this is what happened to me. Like no one ever came out and said anything after.
No, there's nothing. Wondered about that. Jeff would talk with me a lot, especially after the Warren situation and Lorraine Warren, she wouldn't shake my hand, and then I was on stage. Jeff was really found that compelling. Like, okay, what do they sense in you? What do they, the experts, the demonologists, why would they do that? There must be something about you. Let's think about this and see if there's anything that is meaningful about that. And so he began asking me questions, and we talked about things. And one of the things early on he thought was perhaps I might have picked this thing up on my long runs. I might have brought it back to the college. That's what primary theories was, of many, but that was a primary one.
Okay. So you got settled in. So my next question would be, how long, well, first, what was your first experience? And when that happened, what made you say, hey, this isn't normal? And then from there, kind of explain how kind of like the time frame of how long of a time period that this kind of occurred. It took place while you were at the college.
The first thing that happened was at the toga party in January, I think the 26th or so. I remember seeing that person outside the window, dressed in a very strange fashion, looking like angry, like we're dancing at his grave. I thought maybe somebody escaped from like a prison or something like that. I didn't know who it was, and I wanted to go outside. I mentioned some people, but I didn't know at the time that might have been a ghost. A few days later, I was in my room in C2D1 where the loft was, working on a paper, and I began hearing somebody whisper my name, Chris, over and over. Then I thought, well, that's strange. It was only years later I thought back, wait a second, we actually saw that thing at the toga party before. I was looking back, and because I had no concept that this could happen. I was looking for clues. It wasn't until I knew in my room in a closed environment, hearing those sounds, that shouldn't be happening. Put headphones on. Right. Headphones. Again, that should not be happening. And then I saw it. The next evening I saw it standing, coming out of the stereo, rising from the stereo, like a person, but like the vision with the legs in the stereo. And I could not believe I was seeing that. The fact that I was seeing a ghost was more scary than what it looked like, because I can't see them. They're not real. And if they're not real and I'm crazy, that's really bad. I better get some help. And that's what was traumatizing to me, is that my whole life I never panicked, not in big cross-country events or marathons or state testing. My dad always told me, a pilot cannot panic. A surgeon cannot panic. You cannot panic. And then for the first time, seeing that made me panic, and that was devastating.
Because it's like uncontrolled. You can't control it.
Yeah. Well, I can't even explain it. Is it really happening? Because if you don't know if you're seeing reality, you really can't survive, because you don't know if you're dangerous to yourself or other people. You don't know if it's just a scary place to be in. And I would put forth to you and to your viewers, listeners, that if you don't understand your environment, it's hard to survive in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, here in my house the other day, I saw a black. Cheyenne's listening. Our son's fiance is listening, and she doesn't like to hear the stories. But in front of our door, I was standing and I was staring, and I was like, huh. And he goes, what? I'm like, well, it got really dark. And then the black shadow continued to move away, and then you saw the sun again. And I mean, I was calm because of what I've been doing. Right. But had that been the first time I ever saw that, I think I probably wouldn't be good.
It'd be startling, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. But I said to him, I think there's something in the other room, but I'm not sure.
So.
Oh, geez. She said, it's not here. I haven't.
It's not here.
It's gone. I told it to get away.
So after that kind of that first experience, and then, for those of our viewers that have watched it, and maybe those that haven't watched it, go watch it. Definitely watch it. But we're not going to give all the giveaways or all the kind of spoilers, so to speak.
There's one spoiler I can share. One spoiler. I live.
Yeah,
that's right.
There you go. That's a great thing.
He's still here.
So we have a question. So after these couple of these experiences, we know that you do seek help, and then I believe Jeff, I believe it was Jeff in the series that you go and see Ed and Lorraine, because they just so happen to be doing a guest lecture lecture at the college. So we do have a question from one of our guests, Lenny. Did you find out why Lorraine and Warren wouldn't shake your hand?
Yeah, that's a fascinating scenario, and I'm glad they included that in the show, because it really speaks to my relationship with people who were established in the field and how they would perceive somebody else. And back in the day, because it was the occult, it wasn't commonality like it is today. And we went to the presentation because Jeff had seen a poster on the wall that said demonologist and Lorraine Warren would be speaking at the college. And he brought that poster to our dining hall table and said, let's go. I'm like, I don't know. And he said, it's free. So I thought, well,
why not?
Free, I can probably go. I mean, Star Trek isn't real, but I loved it.
Right.
Isn't real, but I loved it. So I'll go and have a nice time. I don't have to be challenged by it, and just a nice free show, and then go home and tell my friends how cool it was. Let's get something to eat. Right. I had no idea it would affect me. And when we got there, I knew they were famous. I don't know who they were because it was packed. And there were people from the community, from out miles away, and young people. So I knew they must have been famous. And Jeff mentioned to me that they had this thing called the Amityville Horror and stuff like that, and they were very famous and well known. And so we got there, and she was an amazing presenter. I really enjoyed listening to her speak. I can tell you that what she said she believed. And that's always encouraging when you're listening to them speak. And they had these slides they showed, black and white images of what they claimed were ghosts and entities. They played these sounds, which they called EVPs, which I later on found out was called electronic voice phenomena. I had no idea what that was at the time.
Yep.
Right.
And those sounded kind of weird. I mean, it could have been anything from a goat to someone post Taco Bell. I don't know, but they did sound off. It's like, that's a weird sound. I don't like the way they sounded. Remember, the one thing that got to me was that they showed an image supposedly of a woman in the back of her car at her own funeral. That concept. But I wasn't really engaged in that type of thought. And Lorraine Warren would say things like attracts like. I'm like, no, it doesn't. I turned to Jeff. I'm like, give me 2 magnets. Like, right? But she wasn't talking that way. And the more she talked, the more I realized she's talking about human interaction and energy and spiritual things, not so much science per se. And I couldn't discount much of what she was saying. And you really can't see it much, but there's a poster right there. That's the actual poster from the event right there on the wall. But at the end of the event, Ed said, come on down, meet Lorraine. And Jeff, that's a great idea. Jeff had actually written a series of questions in his journal to ask them. And he wanted, which ones did he pick? So he put me ahead of him, so more time, just like this question. And off we went. And I got to the stage and I stood up and she said, I will not shake your hand. And she said, I don't want to know my future, Sylvie. Ed put his hands on me and tossed me off the stage, just like that. Boom. It was actually a little worse than they showed in Netflix, but James Wan knows him as his legacy, but it was rougher than they showed. And I was really upset. I felt embarrassed. I felt humiliated, insulted. Yeah. I went on a tour of the campus looking for other activity. I didn't go. And Jeff accompanied me back to our college room in C2D1. We talked a little bit. And years later, I'm going to say 33 years later, I was at an event. This is after my sci-fi show. And a woman came up to me. And she says, hi, my name is Judy. I'm like, hi, Judy. And she said, my mom really loves you. You're the ghost boy, right? And I said, oh, yeah, that's me. I'm Chris. I'm the ghost boy. I said, who's your mom? She said, Lorraine Warren. I'm like,
and you're like, wait a minute.
I said, that's very nice. I said, but let me tell you, must have been another Chris. It wasn't me. It's another Christy. Because let me tell you what happened with your parents and me. And she laughed. No, I know about that. She was in the car. She would not like to go into the event. They scared her. She didn't like the paranormal. Never did. She went in the car and do crossword puzzles and word searches and things. And they came back. Her mom came back that night. Talked about this blonde-haired boy who had this vibrant, huge aura that blocked her. She couldn't read people like she was supposed to read them. And she would outread her instead and ruin what they're paid to do. And so they had to get me off the stage, keep the show going on. So I thought I was very insulted personally, but just matter of fact, no, next. But she was impressed about that. And for years later, she talked about me, saying she thought it was cool. So again, I'm wrong again. That's me. But
right. And that's kind of, I'm sure that was almost like a little bit of a shock when you heard that, because it's like, the in the moment experience was not the vibe that you got, kind of in the moment.
We always think we know, and sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. That's fair.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, that is weird to be pushed away, saying, no.
Yeah.
Nobody else was.
Well, what do you mean?
Knows that for a fact.
So you talked about Jeff, and the one thing from the documentary, and now we have all these gizmos and gadgets to when we do paranormal investigations and stuff like that, supernatural investigations, and the presence that Jeff had, everything, right? It was Jeff that kept all the documents and the records and the recordings and the notes, detailed notes. Like, you think about that could have easily just gotten kind of pushed aside and not had been there when this story, when it came to be and to this point in time.
It's fascinating. I think about that a lot. And there's two ways to approach the relationship that Jeff and I had in regards to the haunting. One school of thought says it was meant to happen. It was supposed to happen. There's a familial connection, a reverberation, that things sometimes just happen. For people love at first sight. Things go in threes. That we were both meant to have this experience. The other school of thought would be that we, as individuals with free will, gravitated toward this one moment, either because of curiosity or concern or adventurousness, whatever it was, and then we created the bond that lasts to this day. And probably it's a mixture of both. Probably like most things in life, there's a balance in things. If people tell their side of the story and usually it's in the middle someplace.
Right.
I think it's a combination. I think that we both found ourselves in that location by some kind of providence, looking back. But once we got there in that place, we ourselves made the most of that friendship. He, as I mentioned, he just really loved to learn. He was like, mine was like a sponge that retained information. He was just like an archivist, a catalogist. He just, I don't think I've ever met anyone, if I have, I apologize, who can meet or exceed what Jeff could do in terms of his intellectual capacity, unmatched. And he and me saw this potential, this energy, these pheromones, this gift, this nuanced personality that was fascinating him, is what can people do? And so we really became like that picture of Mark Twain and Nikola Tesla, kind of doing our thing, not knowing it. And this is before all the shows and stuff like that.
Right.
And,
it was genuine. It was a genuine friendship and bond that came from this experience that you all had at that time and period. So,
and I can prove the friendship was strong, especially on his part, because after the shower attack, my back was gashed up pretty bad.
Right.
And Beth and Ed and Jeff all wanted to take me to the hospital, and they wanted to get me stitched up because I was bleeding pretty bad. But I did not want to go because they would think I'm self-harming. They'd medicate me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be stuck in a spot where it could find me and then possess me in any kind of way. So I wasn't having that. And so it was like an intervention. And I said, no, I'll fight you. I'm not going to go. I'm like, oh my God. But I knew at the time, I thought it was crazy. So I tried to find a commonality between our lenses. Their lens said, help Chris, he's bleeding. Mine said, do not have myself be restrained. I'll get attacked. Right. So our compromise was that we get peroxide, cotton swabs, and bandages. Over 47 minutes, that's what we did for my back. My whole back was lined with bandages after the peroxide was applied. Before that happened, Jeff had said, the natural light is fading. We need a picture of the scratches now before that happens, where it fades away. So take a picture of the scratches on my back. Right. And I said, no. I said, Jeff, if you're my friend, you will not take the picture. He's like, what do you mean? This is amazing evidence. I mean, this is what, no, Jeff, because in that moment, I needed a friend. I didn't want to be a science experiment. I didn't want to be the ghost boy. I needed someone in my life at that moment to say, Chris, you matter.
Right.
And he looked at me. I know he wanted that picture so bad. He said a couple words that, you know what, I'm your friend. He put the camera down. In that moment, I knew it was a lasting, enduring, honest, strong friendship like a brother. And for that moment, my trust with him was extreme and powerful. And I wish, looking back, I had to said that. I wish there was the photograph. But again, I wasn't researching. I was surviving. I didn't want to live that image in my head my entire life. And for me, I think he appreciated my honesty. It wasn't about showing or airs or getting clicks on Facebook. It wasn't even there yet. We were just people. And I looked at him and I said, listen, if you're my friend, I think he saw in that moment too, wow, this is more than just an investigator. This is like a lifelong bond here. This is big stuff. I think the two of us in that moment, we both made a choice that would cement the friendship for 40 years.
Yeah, still going.
So I do have a question. So after that experience in the shower, do you still have physical scars from that? Or have they all healed and kind of gone away?
If they were still there, I'd be in trouble. If they were still there, I forget the COVID shot. No, they were visible for quite some time. That attack happened on March the 11th of '85, and in July, I went to the beach with my friends, and I forgot. Took my shirt off, and they're like, "Why would you back?" I'm like, oh. So I said, those college girls are pretty crazy. Oh my man, my dude, you rock. I'm like, I know. I put the shirt back on. I forgot, because it extends beyond. When you investigate, you put in a box, go to work the next day. This is still part of my life, and so they're visible. And the wall,
your life.
You still see them. About 4 or 5 years later, they faded away. But if I get a sunburn, that part stays like light. Dark, you still see the trace outlines of the sunburn. So there are remnants of that to this day. Yes.
So, so you've had as going through the series, you have a bunch of different experiences, and then at the point when you kind of go to confront this entity or this energy that you're having experiences with that's affecting you, you came up with a name, right? I believe. So share with everybody that might not know, or you came up.
That is part of Jeff's part of his methodology. he wanted to look for data, look for patterns in the data, and you want to label things when you can, enter categories and stuff. And rather than call it the thing or it, he just basically asked. He said, "Listen, if you're gonna give this thing a name, what'd you call it?" And I said, "Tommy," and a parakeet named Tommy. Then he asked Paul, and Paul said independently, without me being there, "Tommy, Tommy, can you hear me?"
Right,
Somebody else said Tommy, like Tommy Knockers. And Jeff couldn't believe that 3 different people, independently, for different reasons, all called this thing Tommy. So he was convinced that was the name of whatever this was. But I didn't want to use the name because it might be some in it. So I just said T. Where's T? I didn't use that name. I just wrote T. That's what I did. So in the notes it says Tommy, but publicly we'd say T. And it was fascinating because toward the end of the haunting, when I was talking to this little Moor, a little braver, it began to share things with me, some parts about his life and where it came from and things. And it turned out that we now believe that the person it was name was Thomas, was Tommy.
It was really Tommy.
Yeah,
Yes.
it really was. So, and that name has a little bit of significance and correlation in your life, which I kind of, we can talk about it now, but kind of when we get towards the end and kind of wrapping up, I have a theory, or I want to ask a question, and kind of I was hoping that Ron and Lourdes, or Ron would be on to kind of maybe help answer my question. But so share with everybody. So as you go through, you confront, and then as you get towards the end of the haunting, basically it does come to an end.
Yeah.
Kind of explain the tie-in with who Tommy was, and the tie-in to who Chris de Cesare is in your family.
Sure. Well, the Netflix show had the challenge of bringing 90 days, 3 months, into an hour and 40 minutes.
Right.
They also had the challenge of creating the initial growth stories as teenagers, to put that in there. It's like they went 10 years that way. Then we've lived for 40 years since. They had like a 50-year time period to compress into an hour 40 minutes. So
Right.
what you see as the discovery of the Thomas Boyd information did not occur until 2012 or so, years and years later. And that's when it was discovered that my ancestors, 6 generations back on my mom's side, Adam Bernard Hubley, discovered the body of Thomas Boyd in 1779 and gave him a proper burial after mutilated by the Native Americans.
Right.
So my relatives, unbeknownst to me, of course, it was hundreds before, had found him and buried him properly. And that was a huge familial tie. And that was, again, I thought to myself, what? Because that's amazingly insane. How can that possibly be? So again, I go between
synchronicities, that's not coincidence. I mean,
no, there's no way
that's a coincidence.
Nope. But see, I didn't know it though, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and so you can't. But looking back over the years, things make more sense and more sense. And I know a lot of people are very talented mediums and psychics and things like that. I just always warn people, don't claim to know everything all the time. We just don't. I was with this thing 24/7 for months. I still didn't know a lot of it. You can be with a partner for 5 years, not really know much about them sometimes, So I always tell people, you start with credibility. Earn it. Don't lose credibility. Once you create something that's fabricated, once it's not good, you lose the goodwill, and there's no point in doing that. So I'm very honest in saying that I made a lot of mistakes back then. I didn't know what I was doing. I was not always brave. I was the smartest guy, but I meant well. I was a good person.
Right.
And you stumbled across, so this was how you stumbled across this name, and this tie-in to your family was the path that you would run, when training through the tree or through the woods. And then your experience in the show is they call there's a memorial next to this tree which they call excuse me, what was
the torture tree.
So
but that area was a little bit ways off the road, as you see, and so I didn't really know what it was going by. I mean, there probably was signs and stuff there, maybe it fell, whatever, but I didn't know to look. Even that's part of my run. That's right before the big hill back up at the college. So I'm focusing my form, my arm.
Running.
Right.
I'm
not enjoying. I'm trying to make the big teams. I'm not really looking at.
You're not.
I had no clue. Like, oh, look at that right there. What is that?
Yeah, that's an odd looking tree.
Where I was
So all right, let's talk. Let's get. I guess, how did Netflix approach you about telling this story?
About almost 5 years ago now. 5 years ago, next month, I got an email from a production company, and I thought it was a scam, so I deleted it, put it in my trash. About 2 weeks later, a second one came. I thought, that's a scam. I put it in my trash. And then a month later, we're talking to John Zaffis, I'm the collector, you know, and I'm like, what do you think? Is this? He goes, oh, that's a big company. Race for the White House, Paranormal Witness, the Meghan and Harry biopic, Vatican Girl. It's like huge. I'm like, oh. So I went back to my trash bin. I found it and I responded like, oh, thank goodness they said we try to get it forever. And that's how it was. We had a conversation. Netflix, James Wan wanted to take away all the nonsense from the horror genre, but it's over the top. People laugh at it now. It's a joke. You know, but he really believed people have experiences that are sincere, that can be proven, that mean something. It's to get back to the roots of how this is supposed to be, more like Hitchcockian and less like, you know, like CGI and stuff. And that was his vision. And so Netflix reached out and they hired on All Three Media / Raw Productions to do these series, docu-series. At first, the commissioner said that we were dusty, very dusty. We were just old white people. But they realized,
I mean, you're regular people.
Oh my gosh, this is very good. We love our lenses. It's okay. We have lenses we don't admit to it sometimes. It's allowed, but we open up their minds to say you can be old and white and still have some value in society. You know what I mean? It's allowed. But it wasn't about who we were and what we looked like, our age. It was about the experience we had. And once they saw that, like, this is amazing, they loved it. And it was full steam ahead after that. We did interviews in 2023. They shot the flashback scenes in 24. We did voiceover work in early 25. And then October 7th, boom. And I was right over here on the floor with the covers over my head, my blanket at 3 o'clock in the morning. 1, 2. That's my voice. It was exciting because I knew at that moment in time, the globe would know, the world would know. And I had been able to share it now, and I can breathe. It's out there for the world to digest. I don't have to hold it inside anymore.
Right. What did they get right? So they did a good job of portraying. So did they get it right, I guess, in a sense?
Example, my father always tripped in the forest. No tripping, but that's so funny. With the sign thing, that's who he was. When Judy says, move a Romeo in the first scene, my nickname when in college was Romeo. It's perfect. They really attention to details. The pictures on the wall, I drew those in college. That behind me, the thing, the wall newspaper articles. That's me in the newspaper articles I drew. Those are real events. They did a great job of creating the moments for you. Some things that are wrong. I'm left-handed. The actor draws with the right hand. Minor things. The final scene didn't take place in the forest. It took place in my room. I broke the blessing and did it there. But the people who did all the reviews of it, and they had like these showings, said, you're in the room, you're in the room, you're in the room, you're in the room. You gotta break it up a bit. So for the breaking up that process, people into the haunting, that mindset, they put it out in the woods at the end just to create a different
different feel
for that. Right. That's fine. A couple of dates are wrong, but it really is accurate in terms of the people, the events, how the thing looked, what it sounded like. I'm thrilled with it. My dad's 82 years old now. I can always look back and see his face and hear his voice, and he's proud of me. It's a lovely thing. My friends recognize what they did back in the day of surviving, not just the haunting, but their own personal experiences. The paper route and the camp counselors and July 4th, and all people sharing their heart and their soul in a meaningful way and being brave enough to do that. So I'm very thankful. It's very accurate.
Very good.
Now, did you all stay friends forever?
No. At first, we kind of broke apart. I think we were just all shell-shocked. We just needed to like kind of clear our heads and some space, you know. It's just, Jeff and I have been friends for most of those years. It was tough for him because, you know, he had all these recordings. He had all this knowledge. What do you do with it? And it seemed at the time very negative. People being attacked, people being held down on their beds, people calling people Ghost Boy. It seemed he wanted to just, after a while, just put it away.
Right.
You know, Linda didn't think about it ever again for 30 years. And it wasn't until like 10 years ago she remembered what happened and started crying about it, saying, oh my gosh, this is what happened. And it's been a difficult process. You know, the thing for Jeff and I, it was a woman named Mara Katria who won an award for the film Please Talk With Me, Best Director, feature film. And that was the first time I shared with anybody publicly about what happened. And she was looking back at the research. She saw a copy of Jeff's notes, and then she invited him to be part of the process. So he and I became friends again, thanks to her involvement. He actually ended up marrying her, so it's a cool thing.
Oh wow! So that was
very, very cool. So that's how that friendship was rekindled. But we've been friends now for 20-some odd years, you know, straight on through, which is very nice. And listen, you can move away from somebody. He's my battle buddy. I don't care what happens. Nothing can happen to make me not like him or not want to be near him or not talk with him. It's just, he's a cool dude. I'm very thankful to know him. He's been there for me on many occasions. Hopefully I've been there for him on a few as well. We had an event on November 1st, right after Halloween at the college, and we all came to speak. And I wanted Jeff there so badly. He didn't want to necessarily go out there and do that and be part of it. I asked him nicely, and he said yes. You know, and I'm happy to have him there because he's part of this experience as the rest of us are. You know, and people want to see him. They want to hear his.
Right. Everybody has their story to tell. I mean, there are other people involved. It's just not, you know, they were there, and that helped shape the friendship and the bonds that you all developed. So real fast, not to interrupt, but the UNX network is going to be, we're just about, I know we're only 50 minutes in. We got a little bit of a late start, but it's almost 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, UNX network is going to switch over to other programming. If you're watching this show on the UNX network, hop on over to, we're still going to go a little bit longer with Chris, and we have a couple more questions and kind of wrap it up and on our YouTube channel. So hop on over. So yeah, just the that friendship, you know, you could see that in the documentary, how, you know, it's like friends, you know, high school friends, and even in this case, college friends, when that bond and that friendship, you know, even though you may lose contact, if that friendship is true, it's just like nothing. It's nothing. You just pick it up like it was yesterday. Like
even Craig, you know, you saw his transformation throughout the series. First, like having fun, playing jokes. He's under pressure. At the end, he's crying. He's like, you know, now I know dead people. I know what it's like. You know, the burden he has. So we all grew in that time period, and he was a fascinating character too. He was brought up in a hippie commune. Free love, free this, free that, free everything.
Wow.
Very different than I was, you know, Grateful Dead playing in the background and stuff.
Yeah.
He was just an out of the box thinker. So Jeff was this intelligence beyond you know, to compare. Right. Craig was this free spirit that I never experienced. He'd say, don't walk the same way to school every day. Walk a different way to learn things. He's just so counter construct. And I was like in my boxes, like you know, do this, do that. Yep. So it's fascinating in that all of our skills. It was Craig who's the one who said, listen, you got to face this thing. You can't run from it. Right. You got to do something. And he's serious about it. I looked in his eyes. He was serious. And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot, you know. And it's fascinating how all of our skill sets just seem to work in the right way without even knowing we're doing the right thing. And it's funny too, because in the real scenario, it was in the room. It wasn't out by the forest. And he said to me, Craig, go in as God made you. So I went in there butt ass naked. I just went in there butt ass naked. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm back still scarred up. I mean, I'm going back in the room like this. And I told him, what happened to me? Tell my parents was my choice. And the funniest thing of all was he left after that. He took my shorts. I never got them back.
Oh, what the heck? That's not right.
Whatever his motivation was, it worked. So
you mentioned that after, because I think it was right after, you were at the Liberty Science Center when we had met you for the first time. We knew that you were going up there, and Ron and Lourdes went with you. Yeah. And what was that like for you and all, you know, those your friends that did come to that lecture, so to speak, at Geneseo? Did that bring back a flood of emotions for you and for everybody else that was involved?
Yeah, I found myself in the room where I talked to Father Charlie and showed him the notes for the first time. The first time I was there since that day, it was overwhelming to be in the same place, look at the same windows, the same sights. Think, wow, decades ago I was right here fearing for my life, and now we're here looking back, and it's so different now. The room looks different inside. My life is different, but there's still an aspect of it remains. And to see the young kids there, they want to talk. I went there Halloween night and just went in there, me and Jeff, just quietly. Right. They loved it, and see the kids and back to places. But I have to tell you that I'm a little sad. Life goes by so fast. As much as I don't like being there at that time, I do miss the energy of youth and the optimism, and everything's possible at that point in your life. And you haven't, there's no quite the hurt yet. There's no taxes yet. There's no grueling career yet. There's, you know what I'm saying by that?
I do.
For the most part, there's no death around you yet. It's just, so I kind of missed that, but I enjoy I had that in my life, and I can remember that. And now people can see that. So, you know, and the town is fun. I think it's a beautiful thing. They have a Ghost Boy special sub.
Oh, do they? Oh, yeah, they do. Right.
Isn't that kind of cool? Yeah, I go there and get that sandwich. And then when I was there, the Halloween parade, and some guy goes to me, you look just are you that Chris guy from Netflix? And I said, I'm thinking for Halloween. He goes, you look just like him except for the hair. I'm like, thanks. Then I told him it was me, so it's kind of funny, you know. It's just, I love it up there. It, as horrible as it was, I'll always be thankful for the school, for the people who were there, for the opportunity to have an experience that I've really shaped myself around and lived by. And I couldn't be happier that here I am talking with both of you, and I'm alive, and people are wondering what I'm going to say and what it means. And
Right. Yeah.
as horrible as it was, it really is a blessing for me now. And hopefully my legacy is a positive one.
And now it's more common. So I'm sure more people have more questions for you that,
Yes.
think about that then. No, not at all.
They're
But
free
you
to ask
talk
questions.
about-
But, yeah.
Talking to the young kids, our kids are in their 20s. So I was having a conversation with our older son who's 23, and I was asking questions, and I'm like, wow, okay. So I guess because we're in our 50s, like so much has happened to us. And I asked him this question, and it was just like, oh, all right, well, that was simple.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a simple answer. Like, why are you worried about that? Just do
Right.
what you want. And I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just weird.
Good for you, right?
Yeah, it's like, wow, okay, all right. Well, that's too simple.
Good place to be.
Yeah, right. It's just, well, if that's what you want, then just go get it. And I'm like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah,
okay, all right. But it's just a different mentality,
It is. It is.
which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one last question, I guess, before we kind of get you to tell our guests
Your
and viewers
promos
your
and
promos and everything,
Book signings
and all
somebody's
that
asked
stuff.
about
Yeah.
book signing.
So how did Eerie Hall change your beliefs?
It proved to me I didn't have conventional faith anymore. Conventional faith in the Western religions means you believe without seeing. I saw every day for months. To me, it's not faith, it's just fact. So I always wonder what that means to me in the future, because I don't need it, because I have faith in people. But as far as the afterlife, to me, it's not faith. It's just proven to me over and over and over again. That kind of changed who I was. All those attacks, those moments I thought I was going to pass away, it taught me to listen more clearly, to judge less frequently, maybe a better teacher for the kids I teach. I don't judge them as quick as I might if I didn't have that happen to me. I understand what it's like to not be able to express yourself the way you want to express yourself, if you're dyslexic, things like that. I get it now, and I get it from people coming from a background they don't want to be in. So I think that's helped me in that way as well. So I think a lot of good things have happened because of these events, and I can tell you that it gave me a place, a purpose that I didn't really want, but has worked out nicely, because if I had run the Olympic marathon and done pretty good, people would know that for a couple of years and forgotten. But now, years later, I can still go out and share my experience, and hopefully people can understand it and maybe benefit from it. Tell people at night, go to sleep. Let your mind and body heal. Whatever crisis there is, you're better off healing your body and mind for the next day. I tell people, eat food, get nourishment. That helps you too, and it tastes good. Taste your food nice and slow. I tell people, put on a song you love from your childhood. Yes, remember to forget. Just dance like nothing matters anymore. Just for a few minutes and feel that 80s song or 70s song or 90s song. Right. Be alive again. You'll get all the memories fun. You had the good times, and those coping mechanisms help no matter what. And I learned those things from going through what we went through back in those days. But it's been a long road. It's been a long road. I'm just happy to be here in one piece.
Awesome.
Well, I don't sleep, so tell him what you just said, and he can keep reminding me, because I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll just remind. Don't talk to me.
I had cancer in May. Eye cancer, diagnosed with eye cancer, and that was a scary thing. And I was quarantined. They had the pellets coming out of my head that people couldn't near me because of the radiation. Once again, I was quarantined in college. I couldn't go out of my room, and now in the hospital in my room, same type of thing. And both times people were nice to me. They loved me. We're saying prayers for you. We got your back. I've been so fortunate. I have so many good friends. My publisher did a fundraiser for me. Nice guy, Bill Edwards.
I believe
the friends that I have.
Yeah, I believe Mary Beth asked that. She asked about how your eye was doing, and it's all better.
One more surgery. I've had 3 down. In 2 weeks, on January the 19th, I have my final surgery. It's laser surgery to burn out the scab that they took out with all the radiation treatment, the pellets.
Right.
So, one more to go. I was supposed to be blind in my eye. 10% chance I'm not. and so far so good. I'm
All right,
20, 2040. So
lots of prayers, everything, and it stays that way, and that's
Right.
good. So
yeah, I got lucky. I'm not again. See, very lucky. No complaints.
I hear you. So I almost forgot the question I wanted to ask about tying to the Tommy, the correlation of your ancestors, of that being tied in with. So Ron, as you know, Ron and Lourdes, and you spoke with them. We saw how you both, the three of you kind of talked at the Liberty Science Center about their philosophy of analytic idealism and universal consciousness. So my question was, and I was hoping Ron was going to be here, and I'm going to ask them, I'm going to text him this question.
He's around.
Do you think so? After their belief is when we pass away, we kind of, this is just an experience that we're having, and all these experiences go back to consciousness. Whatever the source is. Do you think that it's possible that you in the descendants, that found Tommy, the soldier, and a little bit of that, their experience were passed on through generation and generation, and just because now, for what happenstance or for whatever reason, the universe brought you to Geneseo. I always have a tongue. Geneseo, and you running past that, your dad tripping over the the monument in the woods by the tree and stuff like that. Do you think it's possible that, tying into that philosophy, that hey, the universe may have drawn you there for not on purpose, but in a sense, ties it into?
Yeah, I do understand that. Jeff always said, even back in the day, this wants to be told. The story wants to get out there. It's not going to stop telling itself, and it never has. I can tell you that, cats, a feral cat, and the feral cat will not drink still water because it knows that still water can be bad. It drinks only running water. You can have offspring of that cat who, without being taught it, know to only drink running water, whereas the domesticated cat for 20 years going back doesn't know the difference, drink from the bowl. So I do think there are memories. I do think there are DNA components that are passed on generationally. It could be from your nose to your voice to the way you think. And so I cannot discount that is a possibility. I cannot prove it. I can't disprove it.
Right.
I think it's a notable theory worth considering because it seems to make great sense, or many others don't.
Right.
Fair?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And that Mary Beth was asking if I've never heard of cellular memory. So I'll have to Google that after the show and see what that talks about. But all right. So we're at that point in the show, Chris, where, we appreciate you. You've been a great host.
Thank you.
Before we say our good nights, share with everybody where about your book signings, your books, your guest lecture speaking, if you're still going, where they can find you. I did put your Facebook at the top of the comment section at the beginning of the show. I put your Facebook, the YouTube page. But go ahead and share away.
Places. Those are good places. I'm getting technologically savvy, and I can go on Reddit now, and I can go on X and those places, and Instagram. But primarily, I'm still a Facebook person. My parents were years ago. But that's a good place to find me. I am gonna tour this year. I've done it for many years. But I'm gonna be touring. And I can sign books there if you want signed in person. On May 7th, I'm gonna be in East Hartford, Connecticut, at the Transylvania Restaurant and Bar. That's with Charles Rosenay there. On June 6th, I'll be at the 4th Annual New Jersey Cryptid and Paranormal Seminar. That's in Princeton, New Jersey. On July 24th, 26th, I'll be in the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. That's the Barrys. They're on a great show there.
We will see you there.
Yeah, you'll be there. August 15th, 16th, I'll be at the Horror Fest at the Verdon Downs Casino and Hotel in upstate New York. That's going to be really cool too. So my schedule's just starting to fill up now. I'm starting to fill in the gaps a little bit. So I'll be all over eventually. I'm trying to if I get down south, I will, and out west, I will, but I'm going to start in baby steps.
Gotcha.
Wait, go back to when will you be in Princeton? Because Princeton's right here too.
Yeah, Princeton's only 20 minutes from us.
June 6th.
June 6th.
June 6th.
Okay,
all right.
Putting in my calendar.
Putting it in
I bring my book. It looks like this, and I can sign it for folks. There's on Amazon, there's hard copy, soft copy. There's the Kindle version and the audio book. So whatever your pleasure. I'm proud of it. I'm done with the books. That's it. Last night, right? It's the most comprehensive I can do.
Did you just launch an audio version of it? Is that what's on?
Last week.
Okay.
My publisher, Bill Edwards, there, Seed Adventures, the good friend Carrie Lyon, he financed that, and just It's a nice thing to have for people if they want to someday hear my voice.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, that
Mary
makes
does talk,
sense.
yeah, absolutely. Organ transplant
Yes.
sometimes get memories or like of this donor.
guess,
That makes sense. Yep. Now that she's saying that, that does make sense. So, all right, Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure. This has been an unforgettable night. We really do appreciate having the opportunity, meeting
And my
you.
phone stayed on. That's really weird.
And it was a pleasure meeting you in person, and then being able to have this conversation with you, to share your story, and with other people that may have not heard this story before, were some of our viewers. Thank you for trusting with us your experience at Eerie Hall, sharing what so many people are still trying to understand. Your story is a reminder that some places, some encounters never truly let go. To everyone watching and listening, be sure to go out there, follow Chris on social medias, go visit him if he's close to you. See him in person, listen to his story in person, because it really is captivating. And it's one thing to see it and experience it online like this, but to actually see there in flesh and blood, and to be able to see you talk in person, it just really enhances that experience and really drives home the what that message and that experience that you actually had. So this has been Stay Haunted, where the stories are real, the experiences are raw. The unknown is always closer than you think. And until next time, we are going to stay haunted. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you next week. We have another great guest next week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.